Hey, it's Sunday, so it's time for Sundays with Stan. Coming from Main Street, USA, where I live and I work. This is our perspective. So today's show is a special show. The midterm election is almost here, and President Obama and his agenda of hope and change is something that we're going to look at very closely today. So come on down to the chef's table where I cook and do dishes.
Here at the chef's table, and we're going to start our look in this special edition of Sundays with Stan. We're going to start with our look at President Obama over the last 6 years and his vision of hope and change for our country. And we're doing this because even though President Obama is not on the ballot, he's going to be in office 2 more years, but we are going to vote for the people who either supported President Obama over the last period of time, or who would continue to support President Obama. And I want to make this very, very clear that the most centrist liberal in Congress or in the Senate that would go against President Obama's agenda, they still vote with the president and for the president's agenda at the rate of 97%. If you get to a supporter of the president, like a Harry Reid or a Nancy Pelosi, they support the agenda to the tune of 99+%. Okay, so this is why it's very, very important that going into the election, that we look at what and who we're voting for, because it will determine the direction we can either continue to go in for the next 2 years, or that we decide to say, hey, this isn't working. We've been doing this for 6 years, and that we need to change course. So I want to start off. It's a massive topic that we'll have a whole director's cut issue of, but let's deal with the short version of it. Okay, and it goes something like this. The president came to office. He was supposed to. He didn't have any credentials. There weren't qualifications. So people voted for him because they felt he was smart. They liked his personality. I wasn't one of those people. I actually wrote a piece before he was elected, where we examined the fact that he wouldn't release his GPA from college, and that we exposed that he had never made the dean's list. That was public information, and we exposed that he hadn't made the dean's list, and therefore had never even carried a B average. So I personally, and remember I am a conservative, so I was skeptical, of course, but skepticism could be good, because I wasn't sold, and we did look into his academic record, and it wasn't impressive. And neither was his record, prior to being president. He had not built a business. He didn't excel in sports. There wasn't anything that made me have confidence in the job he would do as the commander-in-chief, the most powerful man in the world. Okay, that being said, let's take a look at those 6 years. We can look at things, and in fairness to my liberal friends, let's take an issue. They wanted him to close Guantanamo Bay. He promised he would do it, and he didn't. So if you want to look at something like TARP, the Troubled Asset Relief program, President Obama is now often given credit for the idea of bailing out the banks, the too big to fail people, and the insurance company like AIG. So, but it's interesting because that was actually George Bush signed that program into existence. I was against it. A lot of people were. I said, hey, let's let them fail, and then they'll learn from consequences. But it's interesting that people perceive it as a success, and yet they accredit it to President Obama, which is simply not true. So we start off with the fact that, look, a couple of the early things that happened, we know that the president did not keep his promise on Guantanamo Bay, and we know that he shouldn't be taking credit for TARP if you think it was successful. Okay, so that being said, we can look at the president with respect to his economic policies, and they encompass a few things. One of the most interesting things was He spent the first 2 years of his presidency when there was a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House. He could have basically passed whatever legislation he wanted, and he used that goodwill, or political capital they call it, to focus on Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. And it's interesting because he actually, if you went back to an early speech, said that this is important and it would actually fix the economy. To this day, I remember thinking what I thought at the time. How is that going to fix the economy? But okay, he passed this legislation. It was gigantic. No one read it. It would be 2 feet tall if it was stacked up here on my desk and I used props. So he passed Obamacare, and I'm going to jump to the result with respect to the idea that we're looking at, the idea of hope and change. Did he accomplish something with that? And at the time, there were 43 million uninsured Americans. Today, there are 41 million uninsured Americans, 6 years later. If the problem was that Americans weren't insured, guess what? That problem is still the same problem we have today. There were a couple other promises that were made that are astounding when it comes to Obamacare. One was that the price of your health insurance will go down, okay? That did not happen. In some places it's gone up 38% just last year, not over 6 years, just last year. California, according to the California Insurance Commissioner last week, it went up 28%, okay? The price overall went up, not down. Did it go down for a few people? Yes, it did. Did the expansion of Medicare or Medicaid give a few more people insurance or cover a few more people? Yes, it did. But remember this, the promise was that the price would go down. It didn't. There was another promise that's a now famous line that the president used, and what did he say? If you like your health insurance, you get to keep your health insurance. That didn't happen. That's absolutely not true. People did not get to keep their doctor. I'm sorry, if you like your health, your doctor, you get to keep your doctor. If you like your plan, you get to keep your plan. That did not happen. It's not true. Okay? So the major effort and the major accomplishment of the first 2 years of the Obama administration resulted in, to this day, over 40 million Americans not having insurance, prices going up, and people not being able to keep the doctor and the health insurance that they liked, okay? So, and how that fixed the economy, or was going to fix the economy, we simply don't know. That's as mysterious to me now as it was then. Let's take a look at a few more things with respect to the president's last 6 years of handling the American economy. I think one of the things that we could look at is they make wild claims about the unemployment rate. It's down to 5.9%. Listen, the unemployment rate only counts people who want a job. So that number, and then there's this issue of whether people are fully employed. Forget about that number, okay? Here on Main Street, we look at the size of the workforce. This is the number that matters. And since President Obama took office, the American workforce has shrunk every year. Today, the size of the American workforce is the smallest it's been since 1978. So you could say, okay, no matter what, yeah, you create some jobs, but not enough jobs. You have to create 300,000 jobs a month just to keep pace with population growth. Okay, so unemployment hasn't been a success. How about personal income? Since President Obama took office, this is a really important number. Do we make more money now? The people that actually still have a job, right? Do we make more money now? The answer is no. Personal income is down 4%. If you said, like, what about our net worth? Because we know some people who own stocks, they've done very well. Some of the fat cats, George Soros, Tom Steyer, the big Democratic guys, they give billions of dollars, and the Koch brothers on the Republican side have done very well in the markets. But let's talk about not these 5 people, okay? Let's talk about us, the rest of us, the people who have businesses, people who have jobs. How have we done? Well, I'll tell you how we've done. The net worth of Americans, the rest of us, is down from an average of $135,000 to about $72,000. That's to this day. We did not recoup what we lost in the Great Recession, okay? If you want to look at a really startling number, if you think about the average American has a net worth of $72,000, look at an African American. They have a net worth of about $5,000. President Obama's most loyal constituency has a net worth that's not even 10% of the American average. So how did he do for all of us? Well, we have less than we did. We make less than we did. How did he do for his most loyal constituency? Worse. And by the way, let me interject. African American unemployment is double that of the national rate, and African American men between the ages of 16 and 24, the unemployment rate, according to the government, is 21%. If you went according to the way we figure it here on Main Street, the real numbers, which you could just double, it would be over 40%. So when we talk about hope and change with respect to the American economy, well, the hope is, of course, that it's just a dream and we're going to wake up from it. And the change is what's left of our retirement and our savings plan.